Is AEW Dynamite going to be moving to a 3-hour-long television show? We're going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you guys why I think it's actually a good idea, plus so much more. It's coming up right here on the Ango Show. Yes. Welcome back to TAS. I want to kick things off with AEW on TBS. Matt Baloney of Puck News reported that AEW president Tony Khan is said to be disappointed with the current offer between Warner Bros. Discovery and AEW programming. Dave Meltzer has later come out and reported that the first offer was not disappointing. Instead, it was said that the two sides have yet to reach any deal, and talks for both TV and streaming are ongoing with Warner Bros. Discovery and not TNT Sports. The Puck News reported that also WBD CEO and President David Zaslav and TNT Sports head Louis Silberwasser would like to keep the 5 hours of AEW programming per week on TNT and TBS. One thing that's also been mentioned, I know Wrestling News Co. had mentioned this, but Matt Baloney has a longtime friendship with Nick Khan from the WWE. A lot of people are thinking that this might be a planted piece. And look, I don't know. Obviously, you guys know how PR and everything works, or hopefully you guys should know how PR works. WWE is at the top. They don't want people to think that AEW is competition. It is what it is. Now, in regards to the AEW TV deal, I've been saying this for a very long time. Honestly, it's been a very, very long time, and maybe you're new here, so maybe you're not familiar, but I do predict that they're going to get a great TV deal. There's a lot of people who go in the comments and they talk about ratings and a whole bunch of bullshit. I'm not interested in those conversations for a very large reason. I've said this before. AEW produces live content 52 weeks a year, regardless of what the actual number of live viewers is reported. It's important that we acknowledge that live programming is very valuable. Obviously, AEW now is in a different situation because Warner Bros. Discovery is not going to be moving forward with the NBA rights. And obviously, a lot of people have this belief that maybe that's going to give AEW more money. It could be an advantage, but one of the things that really makes Warner Bros. Discovery valuable is having those NBA rights. I don't know what the deal is going to turn out to be. I don't know if it's going to be $300 million, $400, $500 million, $1 billion, $10 billion, $7 trillion. I don't know, but I do expect them to get a relatively good TV deal. I also expect other suitors to be interested. I do. The reason why this becomes a very tricky situation is because of the fact that the NBA is no longer on Warner Bros. Discovery. So will AEW be getting, very good ads? Like, that's a real good question to ask, right? Will they be getting the type of ads that make up for the NBA leaving? I don't know. That's a very difficult question to answer. But I do think they're going to get a good TV deal. And I do think that even if Tony Khan were disappointed with the first offer, the reason why it's called a negotiation is because two sides come together to come up with a deal that works for both parties. Tony Khan's not an idiot. I might not agree with all of his booking, but I could certainly tell you that Tony Khan is in it to make money. So even if let's just say it was hypothetically a lowball offer, which is always possible, that's kind of how negotiations work. You're not going to make the first offer the very, very best offer. Otherwise, that would be a really bad negotiation tactic. Speaking of negotiations, WWE and Chad Gable, what the hell is happening here? I'm just slightly confused as well. Chad Gable's contract apparently expires next week, at least according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. He's reported that the word going around is that Gable's WWE contract is set to expire late next week and that no new deal has been reached as of now. Wow. Yeah, that's a really dumb idea. I don't know where WWE, and I understand the guy that was taking care of this before, he was fired, he was let go from the company, but to not have your talent, like to wait this long, last minute, to secure your talent, it just seems like a very odd choice. And I don't know who's dropping the ball on that. I don't know if that's a Nick Khan situation. I don't know if that's a Mark Shapiro, TKO type of thing. I don't know if maybe Triple H is part of it. But Chad Gable right now he literally just beat Sami Zayn on television. He just beat their champion. He's in the midst of a massive storyline. Do I think Chad Gable is leaving WWE? No. Do I think Chad Gable should leave WWE? Absolutely not. He's getting a massive push right now. They're actually doing something really special with him. But at the same time, too, I would be absolutely ridiculously dumb if I didn't point out the fact that WWE and having all of these talent contracts literally expire so soon and nothing's been done about it, it is a cause for concern. And I understand it's not the popular opinion. I understand that it's not the cool thing to say. But this is a multi-billion-dollar company with very strong resources. Natalia's contract, Becky's contract, all of these people's contracts are expiring and literally nothing has been done about it. Chad Gable could very well re-sign very soon, right? But it's just the point, it's the principle that I think matters here. And I have to criticize that because ultimately at the end of the day, I am watching your product and I'm very hooked into this storyline right now with Otis and Chad Gable. And if his contract expires and he is not giving an extension and there is no new agreement in the middle of a storyline, as a fan, I would actually be screwed, especially when it's one that I enjoy. So definitely something to point out. I don't know, pretty irresponsible. Whoever is responsible for this, they're dropping the ball. AEW Dynamite going to a 3-hour show. I don't know. This is a very interesting thing that could happen. Tony Khan was talking about the possibility of this when speaking with CBSSports.com. You want to keep Dynamite as strong as possible. You look at the history of what happened with the 2-hour wrestling show when that show was expanded to 3 hours. It's interesting right now per hour. The most we get per hour for any of our TV shows is Dynamite. Either way, 5-hour weekly programming is the absolute minimum. Obviously, they have Rampage and Collision. He says, so in many ways, you would say that would be a very lucrative opportunity. I think it's a very interesting conversation to have about how many nights a week you allocate to programming. Is 5 hours the best? Should we do 6? I want to do at least 5 now. I've tasted the blood and want more, so I could easily be sold on doing more than 5 hours of programming. Tony Khan's not shutting down the idea of doing a 3-hour episode of Dynamite, and listen, I think it should happen. I know it's not the cool opinion, I know it's not the popular opinion, but at the end of the day, one of the biggest issues with AEW programming is the fact that they have a 2-hour episode of Dynamite, and on its flagship show, it could benefit from having more talent on there and more storylines on there. More of these feuds that are carrying over into Rampage and Collision, which, by the way, people obviously care less about those shows than they do Dynamite. A lot of things could be improved by going 3 hours. Now, I get it. This is not the popular opinion for a reason, but I will tell you this. If you are producing great content for 3 hours, it's fine with me. If you're producing mediocre episodes, that's a problem. That's a true problem. So ultimately, I think opening the extra hour gives them time to let stories breathe, giving them time to do a little bit more. And, you know, Tony Khan is known for cramming as much stuff as possible. This allows things to have a little bit more time and space to develop, and therefore that's why I support it. Even if you disagree, just understand that if they were to change to 3 hours, it would require a change in the way they book their shows. But I do think it could be a good opportunity for growth. And obviously, with an extra hour of programming, that means more commercials. I know we all hate commercials, but ultimately, more commercials equals more money. Maybe it's something that Warner does.